Hello kind people of YouTube and welcome back to another video. Today I'm actually putting out two videos as promised. I have been pretty bad with that the last couple of weeks. I used to have an upload schedule 2 or 3 videos a day. It has been dropping to most days just 1 video. I'm trying to get back there. As you can see, 5 articles open. That isn't even all the stuff from today, so let's start and let's talk about Ripple briefly. Because there's an interesting new use case. Well, it's not necessarily new, but one that is coming to attention now. That is completely separate from the RippleNet technologies. And that is what they really need for the future to further increase the possibilities that XRP has. So let's read this article. As always, all articles linked in the description if you want to read them yourself. eMetals are the next best thing that will be converted into digitized shares to represent real-world commodities, and the resultant can be purchased using digital assets as per BPG Group's tweets. BPG Group is a heavyweight company in the material refinery industry, which also deals with efficient methods to reuse scrap metals, and they are spread across Europe. As per their tweet on January 7th, customers will be able to buy these shares of metals using either cryptocurrencies or fiat currencies, and this is the actual tweet. eMetals will purchase the real-world commodity stocks based on customer demand and generate IOUs to represent each share. Customers will be able to use select cryptocurrencies as well as fiat currencies to purchase the IOUs. IOUs will be backed one-to-one to the real-world securities. To clarify the matter more, BPG Group said that stocks will be backed as one-to-one and deposited into separate, segregated accounts. Moreover, the group added that for the bank's use, they will use Kamakura study, which will provide default probabilities. A Twitter user called RickCrypto1 asked if they are backed and regulated by a regulating body, which confirms that the group actually have the backings that they claim. The group replied, "We will release reports that will indicate that we do possess sufficient capital to back each individual IOU token on a one-to-one basis. We will disclose the names of banks and brokers as well." They further tweeted, "Equity markets are closed more hours on the day than they are open. Users will be able to trade shares of popular commodity companies on eMetals platform 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Hashtag Ripple, hashtag XRP, hashtag commodities." This is where the really interesting thing comes in, because here we get confirmation that this is happening on the XRP ledger. The news of this announcement first surfaced the crypto world in 2016 when GateHub published a blog about BPG Group about using Ripple protocol. The blog stated, "BPG digital gold-backed IOUs, the XAU, are now issued within the Ripple protocol. The XAU is enabling digitized gold investment and the ability to use XAU for remittances and payments. This way the physical gold can be converted into any fiat currency such as US dollar, euro or any other cryptocurrency. Moreover, an XAU can be redeemed and physical gold that is stored in BPG's Ljubljana vault shipped to you." So this is actually something I did not know about despite being a big Ripple supporter, because in 2016 I was not keeping up with the news as closely. But they already had, apparently already had gold-backed IOUs running on Ripple's technologies. I assume that means the XRP ledger. And now it is just generally eMetals and commodity stocks. This is a pretty big step because most of the applications of the XRP ledger that we see are within Ripple's own technologies, within Ripple's RippleNet, within the ecosystem that they've been building up. But this is one of a growing list of applications of use cases that happen outside of that. And while what Ripple themselves are doing with XRP is absolutely fantastic and will likely be enough to create a bright future for the XRP token, ultimately they want to dispel this myth that Ripple equals XRP. And a great way to do that is for there to be more and more use cases that are completely separate from Ripple the company, that do not use Xcurrent, Xrapid, Xvia, that do not use RippleNet. And this is one example of that. Another example we have is R3's Corda Settler, also using XRP. Of course, a big legal case surrounding that was recently settled, and we still don't have any information what happened. We likely will never have any information. But this is a step in the right direction for XRP's future. And it's always telling when a company chooses one blockchain over another. There are always technical or business reasons for that. So here telling that they're that they started using the XRP ledger in 2016 and that they're now massively expanding that use with eMetals. Let's talk about mainstream adoption for a moment, because this was a big story about a month, maybe a month and a half ago, when there was news that French tobacco shops would start selling Bitcoin. And then it became a big controversy because there were government bodies saying different things, there was the French government warning people against crypto, and it became uncertain whether this would actually happen. And apparently now it has started happening. Several tobacco shops in Paris, France have started selling Bitcoin for fiat despite regulatory uncertainty, Reuters reports on Tuesday. Reuters has learned that the world's largest cryptocurrency can now be purchased at 6 tobacco shops throughout Paris. However, in a contradicting report, French magazine Capital has claimed that there are as many as 24 shops currently participating in the experiment backed by Capital, a French cryptocurrency wallet provider. According to Capital, customers can purchase Bitcoin for the sum of 50, 100 or 250 euros. The tobacco shop then provides a ticket with an alphanumeric code and a QR code, which can then be used to obtain the purchased Bitcoin via Caplog's website. The magazine adds that Caplog collects a 7% fee on each payment, 1.25 of which then goes to the tobacco shop. Yes, a pretty small cut, honestly, to the shop. That is way below the profit margin that you usually get for most products, but I guess they're in on it because these are relatively high ticket items, up to 250. 1.25% of that is over 2.5 euros. That is almost 3 euros. So that is a nice tidy little profit anyways. Adil Zakar, I probably mispronounced that, a co-founder of Caplog, the French crypto wallet provider that has backed the experiment, has told Reuters that he plans to expand the project to 6,500 tobacco shops by February. Now, this sounds like wishful thinking. This sounds like a very high estimate, but who knows what kind of contracts they already signed in the background. As Cointelegraph reported in November of 2018, France's Tobacco Federation has obtained permission to trade Bitcoin in its shops from the French Prudential Supervision and Resolution Authority, an independent agency that operates under the auspices of the French Central Bank. However, on the same day that the news broke, the country's central bank denied the reports, saying that it had not greenlighted any deals related to cryptocurrencies. Moreover, French stock market regulator AMF issued a related statement reminding the public of the risks of dealing with cryptocurrencies. In addition to that, AMF stated that PaySafeBit Sasu, the legal entity behind Caplog, was not licensed by French authorities. Nonetheless, in its most recent article, Reuters reports that the French government has not imposed a de facto ban on selling Bitcoin at tobacco shops. So this is very unusual. This whole situation is just a massive, massive mess. And that seems to be that seems to very much just be common in terms of things we talk about on this channel. Everything is a mess right now. There's so much uncertainty surrounding everything. That is probably one of the reasons this bear market is continuing for so long. Because millionaire, billionaire investors don't get into a market while there is so much uncertainty. Certainty is your friend when it comes to investments. And this is just the latest in a long line of situations where we just don't really know what's going on. There is no regulatory clarity, there's no legal clarity, there is no clarity what exactly is even happening. We don't even know if this is 8 or 24 shops right now. And unfortunately, a lot of situations in the crypto world are currently very hard to really assess. But if this really rolls out to thousands of shops in the next couple of weeks, that could be absolutely enormous for crypto in France. That could be absolutely enormous for mainstream in crypto, not necessarily in the sense that a bunch of people will suddenly start buying it, but in the sense that just the mental thing of seeing Bitcoin every time you walk to your local tobacco shop. And if you've ever been in France, you know these shops are everywhere. Excuse me. Excuse me, my throat is very dry right now. I'm gonna drink something right after I'm done with the video. If you've ever been to France, especially to Paris, you know these shops are on every corner. And unlike in a lot of other European countries, when they say tobacco shops, they mean tobacco shops. These are not like a bodega type thing where there's a bunch of other stuff there as well. Sometimes they do have other products, but these are really first and foremost tobacco. That is just what France is all about. So these shops are everywhere. And if just seeing Bitcoin in those. If you go to millions of French people go to these shops every single day, even if they never actually buy Bitcoin there. Just seeing it available there normalizes the idea of cryptocurrencies and of Bitcoin. It increases brand perception for Bitcoin. As much as Bitcoin is a decentralized entity that doesn't have a company behind it, Bitcoin is still a brand in the traditional sense. So we can still think of it in terms of brand awareness, brand perception, and all that stuff. And that is, I think, a very useful way to think about it if we are trying to aim for mainstream adoption. The brand awareness around Bitcoin will increase so much in France. And it will probably be linked to a relatively positive image for a lot of people as well. So even if they never actually buy Bitcoin from these tobacco shops, it will still have a big effect. That will be very subconscious. That will be very underlying, that we might never see directly impact anything, but that might be an underlying foundation for the future. Now let's just briefly talk ETFs, because we're talking about them so much, and right now there's not really much of a point because we are waiting for the SEC decision next month. But there is yet another new filing for Bitcoin ETF, and this one is trying to get around some of the regulatory issues that stopped previous approvals. Crypto startup Bitwise Asset Management has proposed a new Bitcoin exchange-traded fund that it says would address the regulatory concerns that doomed previous attempts. The company has filed an initial registration form proposing the Bitwise Bitcoin ETF Trust with the US Securities and Exchange Commission. The fund would track the Bitwise Bitcoin Total Return Index, which measures the value of Bitcoin plus any meaningful hard forks. If the ETF is approved, its shares will be listed on NYSE Arca, which focuses on trading stocks and options rather than large cap stocks, which are traded on the New York Stock Exchange. The initial registration statement indicates that Bitwise wants to underpin its index for the valuation of the fund with spot prices from exchanges and physically settled futures contracts, rather than cash-settled contracts as earlier proposed ETFs would have done. This is important because a lot of people have been arguing that maybe physically settled futures are the way to go to get the approval. In the statement, Bitwise Global Head of Exchange Traded Funds, John Hyland, noted that the SEC may not grant the application, adding, "We believe the crypto trading ecosystem has evolved in significant ways in the past year. Having a regulated bank or trust company hold physical assets of a fund has been the standard under US fund regulation for the last 80 years, and we believe that is now possible with Bitcoin." Further, Hyland said, "We are optimistic that 2019 should be the year that a Bitcoin ETF launches." The SEC currently has one Bitcoin ETF rule change proposal sitting before it, filed by Van Eck and SolidX in partnership with CBOE last year. A decision on the proposal has been delayed a number of times and now faces a final deadline of February 27, 2019. So that is of course the big one that a lot of us have been waiting for, the one that a lot of people have been arguing, if it finally gets approved, may just launch a bull run. Not the only thing in the next couple of weeks and months we're waiting for that could potentially be the catalyst for a bull run, but one of the big ones that people have been throwing around for a long time. A Bitcoin ETF, any Bitcoin ETF, being approved would almost certainly bring a lot of new money flowing into the crypto space almost instantly, because that is exactly what a lot of really big investors, a lot of institutional money has been waiting for. And it is looking more and more likely with every one that is being proposed. But ultimately, we won't know how the SEC judges until they come out with a verdict on this. Not really a verdict, an approval or rejection. But I do also think that in 2019 we will probably see one. I'm not sure if it will be the FunEck SolidX one. I don't know if it will maybe be this new one. But at some point the SEC won't have any compelling arguments for why they're rejecting them anymore that haven't been addressed in later ones. So sooner or later we will see a Bitcoin ETF. Now a lot of people don't like the idea of ETFs. I understand that. I'm just reporting on on what is happening here, and explaining how it might impact the markets in other ways. Let's talk about something less positive, and that is just how much mining malware is out there. And now we have some numbers, and apparently almost 5% of all Monero was mined not legitimately, but with malware. That, of course, not good for Monero's image, but also perfectly in line with Monero's image, because as a privacy coin, this is exactly what people would expect might happen with it. Monero is by far the most popular cryptocurrency among criminals deploying mining malware, according to a new study. Two researchers, Sergio Pastrana and Guillermo, I know that's not how you pronounce it, my mouth just can't do it, Suarez Tangil, probably mispronounced, from Universidad Carlos III de Madrid and King's College London, see, I can pronounce that, respectively, published their report last week, estimating that hackers have mined at least 4.32% of the total Monero in circulation. They write, overall, we estimate there are at least 2,218 active campaigns that have accumulated about 720,000 XMR, which is over $50 million US. Interestingly, just a single campaign has mined more than 163,000 XMR, which accounts for about 23% of the total estimated. The campaign is still active at the time of writing. The researchers, however, are not sure whether or what portion of malware owners have cashed out their crypto due to lack of information and the fluctuating prices of cryptos. At press time, the value of the XMR total cited is almost 40 million. Around 4.4 million malware samples were analyzed over a 12-year period from 2007 to 2018, and 1 million malicious miners were identified, the paper says. So this is a big, ongoing paper that went on for over 10 years. That is very, very big. That took a lot of work, that took a lot of people, and probably also a lot of money. So this is a big study. Tactics adopted to distribute malware varies, but the pair says that a common yet effective approach is to use legitimate infrastructure such as Dropbox or GitHub to host the droppers, and stock mining tools such as Claymore and XMWig to do the actual mining. After Monero, which the pair said is most prevalent, Bitcoin came in at second favorite crypto for illicit mining, though its popularity has decreased over the years. Bad actors also experimented with other altcoins such as Dogecoin or Dogecoin, I prefer to call it Dogecoin because it's funnier, or Litecoin during 2013 and 2014, and then shifted back to Bitcoin and Monero, probably because these are more profitable, the researchers suggest. Of the malware-associated wallets identified by the team, Monero was 56% more represented than Bitcoin, while Zcash came in third place. And we don't really need the rest of this article. Now, keep in mind here, this study started in 2008, so one of the reasons that Bitcoin is so well represented here is that for a long time it was pretty much the only cryptocurrency you could be mining. So, and even after it was the only one, it was by far the most prevalent. That has dropped over time, so that is probably one of the reasons it is one of the primary results here. It is so much higher than most of the other cryptocurrencies. Now, Monero of course lends itself to this because with all its privacy features, you don't have to worry nearly as much about a government, an enforcement agency tracking your illicit activities and being able to find out who ultimately did this. And that is one of the downsides of privacy coins. I talked about this before on other videos. As much as they provide freedoms for the user, they also provide freedoms for people who we might not want to have these freedoms, and that is ultimately an ethical issue that we as a society will have to address at some point in the near future. Not just about cryptocurrencies and privacy coins, but also about a lot of other encryption and privacy features. This will be a big issue that will be in public discussion a lot in the future. We will probably start properly discussing it when it's too late, when a lot of really bad things have happened aided by this. But at some point we will end up talking about this more. But as it stands now, this is just what is going on here. This is there's essentially not much more to say here. Just thought these numbers were interesting. And last but not least, TRON made a pretty smart hiring decision. Blockchain platform TRON has hired a former United States Securities and Exchange Commission supervisory attorney as its first chief compliance officer. The company has revealed this to Cointelegraph in a press release on January 9th. David Lappard, who previously worked as an attorney for the US regulator, will also take on the role of co-general counsel at the company, so a pretty high position. TRON, along with its associated TRX token, has built a major presence over the past year, in part due to the continued and at times controversial publicity efforts centered around CEO Justin Sun. Can we replace controversial with at times stupid and misleading and just plain out wrong? You guys know that I have nothing against TRON as a project, and that I've spoken positively about some of the things they've done in the past, but Justin Sun, oh my god, don't get me started on this guy. I'm just gonna continue the article. I'm not gonna rant about Justin Sun. I'm not gonna do it today. I'm gonna do it in another video at some point again. I know I will, but right now I don't want to get into it. Designed to offer an alternative platform for decentralized applications to Ethereum, TRON celebrated its 1 millionth user account last month. And the rest of this doesn't really go into anything. But this is a smart decision, this is a good decision, because as the chief of compliance, he will of course be dealing with exactly how to deal with regulatory bodies, how to set everything up in a way that they can expect to get good news out of compliance, out of regulation, and one of the things he will probably have to do is deal with the SEC. So as someone who used to be an attorney for the SEC, he knows exactly what is going on. He has connections. This is a very good and probably expensive hiring decision. This guy, if he didn't cost them 7 digits a year, he probably cost them high 6 digits a year. This is someone who will cost them a lot of money, but the money will probably be ultimately well spent here. So TRON has a lot of money behind them. TRON is one of the most well-funded cryptocurrencies, and lately I'm unsure about the purchase of BitTorrent. I think that might have been a bad decision, especially with them now launching another token altogether rather than using TRX for integration. I don't think that was necessarily the wisest decision to make, but a lot of the other monetary decisions they have made, some of the funds that they have set up to support development on their platform, and now this, are very good decisions. They're using the money mostly very well. And we're seeing a lot of wasted money in the crypto space because there's a lot of people who never had to deal with running companies, who never had to deal with millions or even billions of money, and who don't quite know what to do with them. But TRON seems to be doing good decisions here. It seems to be making good decisions. So, bravo TRON, this is a good idea, this is a good hire. And this is a big boy hire. Good job, TRON. You've acted like adults. We don't always see this from TRON. Okay, I don't want to rant about Justin Sun. I'm not gonna rant about Justin Sun. I'm just gonna end this video. Thanks for watching, as always. All the links to the articles in the description, as well as links to my social media pages. If you like my content and you would like to support me, the #1 way to do that is to just leave a like or comment. If you can make that a habit for whenever you watch my videos, that would be incredibly appreciated. I know every YouTuber asks you to do this stuff, but it really helps my channel be discovered and grow. The difference that just 10 more likes and 5 more comments on a video can make is insane. You guys won't understand until you have a YouTube yourself and see the impact. But it's a huge difference, so you might think that your comment and your like doesn't matter, doesn't change anything. It really does though. So if you can take those 10 seconds out of your day, I would very much appreciate a like and comment. If you're feeling generous, there are also ways to support me monetarily in the description. Anything is appreciated, but honestly, just a like and comment is all I ask. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back with you guys tomorrow.